Hey everybody, welcome to Be Made Whole. This is your host, Pooja Chilakuri, and today's guest is Michelle McCoy. Michelle is a board certified functional health coach, and she's a holistic lifestyle advocate. She helps women, she supports them on their journey of dealing with autoimmune diseases. She helps them get to the root cause without feeling overwhelmed or frustrated. I am so excited to talk to you today, Michelle. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Pooja, for having me. I'm so excited to talk with you. It's just like sitting down with a cup of coffee with a good friend. I'm so
That,
excited.
that's how I feel right now. And we're going to touch on a topic that's very close to my heart. Autoimmune diseases is the whole reason why I went into this whole field of health and wellness. But today's not about me. I want to know what led you to this and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, great. So my story goes all the way back almost 20 years ago to when my daughter was sick, and she was sick for 3 years, and nobody in conventional medicine could figure out what was wrong with her. So long story short, it was 3 years of medication and poking and prodding and this test and CAT scans, and her issue was she was having migraines and daily headaches, and she really looked like a very sick little girl, and nobody was helping her. So all the different modalities I had tried, like going to her doctor saying, well, what about her food? Is it her food that's causing this? No, it has nothing to do with food. Like, don't take anything away from her. She's a kid, she's growing. Well, you tell that to a mama and she's going to be like, no, I'm going to take matters into my own hands. Thank you very much. So I was taking this poor girl off of a lot of different things, and I wasn't getting any results. Like, I was literally just throwing a dart at the wall and trying to figure out what was wrong, because all they wanted to do was throw medicine at her. So the kicker for me was when they had suggested that perhaps something was going on at home and that she needed some therapy. Now, I'm all for therapy. I've been in therapy. It's a wonderful and necessary resource, but that was not the problem. My 8-year-old daughter was not needing therapy. She was needing an answer. So we went to an herbalist, and we live in North Carolina, and we drove up to the mountains of Virginia and went to this herbalist. And now this is like almost 20 years ago. So I didn't have the internet. I didn't have all these resources at my fingertips. I was literally going to the library and to Barnes and Noble, and I was researching everything. And so when I found out that she had a gluten intolerance, it blew my mind, because she proved it to me. And I'll spare the long story of how she did all that, but I do talk about it in one of my earlier episodes on my podcast. I go into detail on that, but she proved it to me, and we cleaned her gut. We completely took her off all gluten, and within a month she was like a different child. Like, it was crazy. And it still took a few more months, but like she didn't have the dark circles under her eyes. She was growing again. Like, she wasn't pale. So that was what really got me interested into holistic medicine. And I believe that God gave me that intuition that it was food related, because why would I keep trying and trying, right? Like, I believed what they said to a point, but then I wanted to take matters into my own hands, because they saw her for 15 minutes and pushed her out the door with a new medication. So I really wanted to get to the root cause of what was causing her problems. Fast forward many years, I myself, even while she was sick, was going through some of the same symptoms, migraines, daily headaches, and wasn't getting the connection, because mamas, we put all our focus on our kids.
Yeah.
So once I had that aha moment, I was like, oh yeah, it's, you too, you passed it on to her. So it just really made me feel so much empathy and love and compassion for other moms that are struggling and going through, not just finding out what's wrong with their child, but meanwhile their own health is suffering. They're going through so much that they're just not addressing, because all of their focus is on that child. And I get it. So that's what brought me to holistic health.
That's
back. I can't go back. So
I love your story, and you're right. You can't go back because you can't unsee what you see, right?
right.
Once you've seen it, you've seen it. You're no longer blind to it. So once you have the awareness, it's impossible to go back. Yes, absolutely. I love that story, Michelle. It resonates with me very deeply, a very similar story. And I know that a lot of people that are viewing this is probably going to resonate with them, because I remember very clearly sitting in a doctor's office for my asthma, and this was my third round of medication, right? Just like what you're saying, one medicine after another.
Yeah.
And when it stopped working, he said, well, that's how medicines are. After a while, you build tolerance and they don't work anymore. So I'm like, wait a minute. So you're telling me you actually don't have an answer for me,
Right.
right? And it's amazing, the intuition piece, just even as a mom and even just as a person, right? It's what you're putting inside your body. It's got to be, right? And that's just a piece of it, because you're helping women with autoimmune disorders. And I did a sneak peek into your website, and I love what you have on there. You say they're the heartbeat of the home. If we're healthy, our families are going to be healthy, right? So
That's
I really
exactly
love
right.
what you're doing, Michelle. And we just talked about food as one of the contributing factors to autoimmune, and I'm sure there's several others. Several others. So when you do the program with women, what does that look like? Do you just help them? How do you help them to get to the root cause?
So I take a mind, body, and soul approach. A lot of programs will focus on certain areas of the body, like maybe your gut health or your mental health, your emotional health. But I take a mind, body, and soul approach, because if we can be soul sick too. We can be soul sick. And I believe that it's vital that we take care of that piece first, that we let God lead us, because God doesn't intend for us to be sick. I say God doesn't intend for us to be sad, sick, and stagnant in our health. Like he wants us to have an abundant life. And honestly, a lot of people take that word abundant and they just think money, but there's so much more to life than that.
Yeah, holistic, right? Abundance is in every area. And health.
Every area, the whole body, mind, body, and soul. And I think it's really crucial that we address all three areas. So we do talk about food. I do a very in-depth food and lifestyle review, because I want to know, how are you sleeping? How are you eating? How are you eliminating? How is your energy? How is your movement? Like, all of these things, all of these factors come into play. So everything that you would think about come into play, but then we're adding on, what does God say about this?
Mhm.
Right? Because if we know intellectually that God doesn't want us to be sick, that God doesn't want us to be oppressed,
Mhm.
then how can we get out of it? How can we get beyond that?
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's a deep dive. I love that, because think about it, right? It's not just that quick 15 minutes. I don't know you, just looking at your symptoms and giving you an answer, but you're doing a deep dive and really trying to understand the whole person, which is what I really love about the functional piece of what you do, Michelle. So do you do one-on-one? Do you have classes? Like, how can women find you, and what are the things that we can avail of?
Yeah, so I do group coaching as well as private one-to-one coaching. I love both aspects of that, but the one-to-one, you can really dig even deeper, because people just feel more comfortable, just sharing when it's private. And so I do that. I also have a couple of different programs focusing on like inflammation, targeting inflammation at the cellular level. And I've got the podcast. So that is where you can just learn more about how to live an optimal life and how you can take back control, because that's what I want women to understand, that they can take back control for their health. You don't have to wait for a diagnosis to do something different. You don't have to wait for that autoimmune diagnosis to say, I'm going to change up my lifestyle. I'm going to work on perceiving my stress differently. There's so many things that we do not have. we need conventional medicine. It has its place. But what I love about functional medicine is it blends the two together. So it's not like you should never take a medication again, but let's dig down to the root cause as to why you need that medication in the first place. And maybe you won't need it anymore. So many of my clients have gotten off their allergy medicine, their blood pressure medicine, different medications that were really bothering them. And, acid reflux is super popular. As our stress level increases, so does the acid reflux, right?
Yeah. Oh, you're
So,
right. Yep.
yeah. And so that's why it's nice to have these different modalities. But I am about ready to launch a new program that is blending the one-on-one private coaching as well as a group coaching format. So I'm super excited about that, because not only will you get that support and that accountability and the deep dive weekly with our weekly calls, but you'll also get private calls with me so we can go even deeper to what their particular need might be. So I'm excited about that.
That is lovely, because we are all bio individuals, right? No two people are gonna need the exact same thing. And really it's a labor of love in many ways, because you're really taking the time with each person and just really walking the walk with them. And I think that's what I value about coaches, because you don't have to do it alone. I know that a few years ago, my husband and I both received some diagnoses for autoimmune. It blew my world, because it just was like, what is this thing? And, the first reaction I had was the feeling of helplessness, but it's not until you start taking back some control, right? But sometimes we don't know where to go look for answers, because unlike you, I had Google and everything. Yours was 20 years ago, but I had Google, and I'm not really sure that was helping me, because I was driving myself nuts, freaking out about all the things that could be wrong with me. So having someone like you, I appreciate and value, just being able to point people in the right direction, hold their hands, walk with them. I'm always telling people, if I'm getting a heart attack or my arm is coming off, please take me to a doctor. That's
Absolutely.
not when I need a functional medicine, but for chronic health conditions, I don't think our healthcare system has the best answers yet. I think they're getting there. I'm really appreciative of all the integrative health modalities that are out there. So things are catching on. Things are catching on. Yes.
I hope so. Yeah, because, for so many years we've had a disease management system. We don't have a healthcare system. And so, we go for one autoimmune, and I don't know if most doctors, like mine didn't tell me this, that your chances of having another and another and another and another increase with that one.
Yeah.
So it's like, why is that? Is there some way we can stop the train a little bit? Can we just kind of slow down, push pause, and find out why I got the first one to begin with?
Yeah.
And then, manage, do more than manage that, but like get restoration from it, reclaim that, and just take back our health on that. And that's something I've been battling, myself too. And with life, we have ebbs and flows, right? Like we have really stressful situations that directly affect whatever that autoimmune condition is. For me, I'm hypothyroid. I have a few autoimmunes, but hypothyroid has been my biggest nemesis, because it's just a battle. And then when it affects your adrenals, and your adrenals affect your thyroid. And so my story with adrenal fatigue, it's crazy how everything's so interconnected in the body. But if we didn't have the knowledge to help ourselves on that bio-individual level, then I know I would feel lost all the time. I would feel like there was no hope. And I want women to know there's always hope. You do not have to just sit and just kind of curl up in this ball because you have an autoimmune condition. No, there's always hope for you, no matter what it is. And God does not desire for you to be stuck in that sickness.
Yes. And I love that you said there, always hope, Michelle, because that's one thing that you're really broadcasting on your podcast. Every episode, I feel it's very encouraging, very uplifting, and you're giving people, tools that they can start using right away. So I'm going to definitely make sure I include the link to that in the show notes so people can
Thank
find it.
you.
It's free and you're getting all of Michelle's good advice on there. So I definitely tune in. If you had one thing that you could give us if we're just, starting, some people, they may be just starting a health journey, right? Or people that are interested in prevention, like what is one thing we could start doing today that's your favorite thing to do for your health tip? Anything, you know?
Okay, so this is super basic, super simple, but I believe it's one of the hardest things that people can, do to implement. And my husband is right there. Like he struggles with this. Drink water first thing in the morning, as soon as you wake up, within 30 minutes at least. Right. This is my adrenal fatigue tonic. So you can actually get this recipe plus some other recipes in my foggy and fatigue blueprint. It's a completely free resource. So I'm sure Pooja will have the link in there too. But we want to be hydrated first thing in the morning. I know that we all love our coffee, but that dehydrates us even more. And when we are sleeping all night long, we're extra dehydrated. We need to reach for hydration. Now, even if you just started with 4 ounces, 4 to 6 ounces of water, but the best thing is to just get it down and just kind of sip on it. I've heard people say, I feel really nauseous in the morning. The only thing I can drink is coffee. Well, respectfully, I think that's also, it's kind of a habit. It's become a habit. And so if you are sipping on warm water or room temperature, I don't really recommend ice water because it slows down digestion. But really, the best thing to do is hot lemon water or room temperature. Squeeze some fresh lemon in there. And if you are super tired, if you are really struggling with energy, put a little smidge of that Celtic sea salt or Himalayan sea salt in the water. And that's going to really wake up your adrenals. It's going to support them. It's going to give them just that extra little boost that they need. It doesn't even matter if you've slept well at night. If you suffer from adrenal fatigue or any kind of chronic fatigue, you probably still wake up feeling exhausted or drained. So that is going to give you that little extra boost. Then you can enjoy your coffee or your tea, preferably, especially. That's a whole other conversation, Pooja. If you have adrenal fatigue, coffee is not your friend.
Not your friend, I know. I know.
Not your friend.
Yes, yes. But I love that advice. I'm going to tell you, Michelle, I have my water bottle sitting by my bed on my nightstand. So the first thing I know, I just grab it in the morning before, anything else. So that way I don't forget. So
I know. It's so funny. And my poor husband, like when he goes on business trips and he's on a trip this week, and I'm just like, okay, as soon as you get off the plane, buy a bottle of water because I know what he's going right to that coffee shop. And I'm like, get a bottle of water too.
My children, I think they're sick of me nagging them. Did you drink water? Did you drink water? I'm always asking that. So it's very important. I always think of it as like, the water and the little bit of sea salt. It's like the spark plugs, right? Like in your car won't even start without that. So
yes, it's so true. And that's the thing, like we wonder often why we're so exhausted, so fatigued. And again, I hate to pick on my husband, but he wouldn't care. We've almost been married 30 years, so he's used to me.
Yeah.
But like he'll be like, man, I'm so exhausted. And I'm like, well, how much water did you drink today? And he's just like, oh my gosh, I only had one glass. And I'm like, what? It's like 5 o'clock at night.
No, I love that, Michelle. Very simple, but very powerful, very important. We don't realize it. We take it for granted sometimes, So
We do. And then one other, this isn't really a tangible per se tip, but I just really want to encourage women to, that they are their best advocate for health. So just make sure that, the God-given power that is inside of you, use it, and, trust yourself. And if you know that something is wrong with your child or yourself, you do not stop until you get to the bottom of that.
bottom of that. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Michelle. If we wanted to get in touch with you, is your website, what's the best way? And I'll put everything in the show notes, but what is your preferred way?
Um, I don't necessarily have a preferred way. Any way you want to get to me is great. I do send out a newsletter every week. So if you'd like to get the free Foggy and Fatigue Blueprint, then that will put you also onto my email list. But and we'll have the link for that. But treasuredwellness.com is a great way to reach out to me. You can see the podcast, you can see the blog, you can see different modalities on there. You can send me an email at Michelle@Treasured Wellness. And then I'm out on my socials, of course, but I would love to get that personalized email, and just any way that I can help, I would love to do so.
Well, I can't believe I haven't signed up yet. I will do that today. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for coming and taking your time and speaking with us. It was wonderful. And I hope that I could get you back some other time and we'll have another conversation.
I
Thank you
would
so
love
much.
that. I
Yeah,
would love that, Pooja. Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun.
yes,
I
yes,
just
me
love you so
too.
much. I love
Me
what you
too.
do. I love your message.
I love what you do. So it's what I say, the more people that we could just spread the awareness, I would love to see the whole world just become super healthy, right?
Yes, yes, and amen. Let's claim that.
Yeah. I'll see you next time, Michelle. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.